Good morning. If you're aware of what I'm doing on my blog and here in the 5 Minute Summation, which, by the way, today is the 5 Minute Summation for the 22nd of, I'm actually going to say September today, 2020, and it is a Tuesday. Again, good morning. Again, if you're aware of what I've been doing on both my blog and in my videos, you would have seen that one of the things that I did was a blog post and then a video on the first chapter of Dr. Noam Chomsky's Understanding Power, the Indispensable Chomsky. And one of the things that he talked about in that chapter was the idea that the media is essentially a propagandist arm for an elitist group that essentially controls the government. Now, I'm not sure that I would necessarily agree that that's perfectly the case, but I would certainly say in the case of the mainstream media that anybody who's been paying attention for very long at all has to be aware that they're very much driven by what certain classes of people want for them to say. That's not even a question. So his assertion is actually sort of ho-hum to me, because it's like, yeah, who didn't know this? Who wasn't aware of this, right? It's pretty obvious to me that it is the case. It has been the case for a long time. And by the way, I don't see it changing anytime soon, because there's such an investment in doing things the way they're doing them that you can't imagine that happening. So the thing about it is, there have been a couple of alternatives come up as a result of the mainstream media being who they are. One of them is the right-wing media. But the thing that we have to recognize, there are a couple of things that we have to recognize about the right-wing media, but one of them is that the right-wing media is beholden to, if nobody else, their advertisers. And in some instances, they're actually bought and paid for, and I'm not going to get into naming names, but they're actually bought and paid for, and they're parts of large corporations or smaller corporations that are parts of a larger conglomerate of corporations, just like the mainstream media. So some of them are really no better at all, or not very much. They present a different viewpoint, though to cite Chomsky's perspective, the viewpoint they present is still within the sort of center of what can be expected to be presented and be acceptable in media. Okay, but so the point is, that's what's true for the right wing, is that they're doing things that they think are going to sell. Some of them are doing so strictly for advertising dollars, or mostly for advertising dollars. Some of them are doing so because they're a part of bigger entities. The other thing that you want to consider is a lot of times the right-wing folks are really about opinion, right? About editorial work, if you will. So they're not really interested largely in news a lot of times. That's not to say they don't put news on their stuff, but as with any news, theirs has a particular bias, a slant in a particular direction. So what they're selling for the most part is opinion, which sadly, in my opinion, largely is what the mainstream media is doing too, because even when they tell stories, what they omit, that is, what they don't tell stories about, what they don't add into their stories, what they sometimes add, how they couch the stories that they have, these are things that actually drive what they're doing. The next thing that came about that I think is probably the most promising thing that we have at the moment is social media. Because with social media, a person can literally get to the point where they have an empire, where they're doing their own thing. And the problem is, of course, that there's a potential for censorship on the part of the social media, which a lot of people are now referring to as what amounts to tech tyranny, right? So one of the things that's happened as a result of that is that there's become a new social media that's sort of springing up, that's trying to compete with the existing folks, and they've got their problems, but they're trying to do that. Now, the thing to remember about that is that what they're pledging is, we're not going to censor you. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you're totally out in left field or whatever. We're not going to censor you. We're going to let you say your piece, and then people who think that they can win the war of ideas are going to try to do exactly that by stating their case in the best, most succinct, and most proper ways. So I'm running out of time. This has become a thing, and I may have to extend my videos because this is the case. But the point is, Chomsky's assertion, certainly, that the media is a propagandist, is largely propagandist in nature. I'm sorry to say this, but that's kind of not really a revelation. Maybe it was at the time he said it. I don't think so, because I remember thinking this about the media at the time, 1989 timeframe. I remember that very well, so that's not really very surprising to me. Okay, so as I say, I'm basically out of time, so allow me to plug my social media and blog. I have a blog. The blog is at blogs.kpschubert.com. I have a Twitter, a Parler, and a Minds.com account. They all have a handle for me of @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert, and no, there's no .com on there. I have a Facebook page. It's Kurt's Religion and Politics. A little bit new to me, but I have a Rumble account. It is also Kurt's Religion and Politics. That's the channel I post my videos on. And I am on Patreon if you choose to support me there. So, again, propagandist media? Yeah, pretty much. Nobody's really surprised to hear that. But hopefully, yet again, you will have a great Tuesday and a good rest of the week. And I hope to see you probably tomorrow if I get the chance to record a video. It's questionable because my son is going to be home and I have to work within what I'm constrained with. All right, you have a good day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for visiting the Kurt's Religion and Politics channel.